Today is Monday, January 23rd, 2023. My name is Gary. I'm with Third Eye Meditation, thirdeyemeditation.net on the World Wide Web. I'm recording this through Wisdom as well as over my Rumble channel for the actual visual effect. So I'm just going to wait a little bit for some people to get into the room, basically. So whoever's here right now, just want to give you a quick shout out, say hello to you. I am going to be doing this kind of personally because I was reading. I fall down some rabbit holes every now and then, and I don't know. It becomes a little bit personal to me at sometimes. So if you just want to, like I said, whoever's in the room, if you just want to kind of hang out for a little bit, I want to wait till some more listeners come in so I could start talking about this, and this way I'm not, constantly restarting and, repeating myself a few times over and over again. So if you want to say hi real quick, that's awesome. Otherwise, I'll give you really quick. My name is Gary. I'm with Third Eye Meditation, and I'm at thirdeyemeditation.net on the World Wide Web. I just want to push that a little bit because I enjoy having people following me around to my different channels and everything. I like to get to know people and, see what I'm about and all that. Third Eye Meditation, I just do an online business teaching people how to meditate. That's about it. But it expanded and I started doing podcasts, and the podcast really blew up. I'm over 1,000 listens, and I only started over this past summer. And I'm really happy and really proud about that. It's heard in like 23 different countries, which is absolutely amazing to me. And so I kind of expanded outside of Third Eye Meditation. And I do the Third Eye Meditation podcast, and then I do the Third Eye Meditation network. And the network is basically all of the social media channels, and that's what I like people to follow. But the easiest way to find me is by going to thirdeyemeditation.net, and there's a page on there where to find me. Like I said, right now I am doing this on Wisdom, and I'm also recording it on my Rumble channel. Now, I do have a Facebook channel, and the Facebook channel, it's also within the links. I love to get followers over from Wisdom over to Facebook, because Facebook, what I've been doing is I take my podcast, and then the following week after I do the podcast, my stepdaughter and I, we sit and we do a live show on Facebook every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and we basically discuss the topic of the podcast. And it's an enlightening show, basically. People come in, and my whole goal is to just get people to relax, relieve stress and anxiety, and we just sit and talk about different things. I got a big show coming up on February 1st. My last podcast was about meditation and the outdoors. And so I did that just simply because I got a guest coming in, an old friend of mine who actually does hiking and exploring, and I mixed all that in with meditation. And my friend, whom I used to know way back in high school, which was so many years ago, and she brought up to my attention that she does it because I do the same thing. I do all the exploring. I do the, hiking, and I do meditation outdoors. And it turns out she was doing the same thing the whole time. And I'm sure she's going to have great stories. So February 1st, Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, she will be on my show. So if you guys go to thirdeyemeditation.net, find the page that has all my links, and follow me over there. Facebook, you can follow me here on Rumble. This way, if you want to see the show that I'm doing right now, you could do that. And I don't really consider this a show. I like Wisdom because Wisdom is just a great place to go to hear some incredible people, some really fantastic people, actually. And looking at my little, see who's here, it's pretty interesting, actually. I get to, hear great people and some really great podcasts. They have great, visions and whatnot. And I just come on here quickly in between jobs because I work 2 jobs, 7 days a week. I'm constantly on the go. So in between jobs, I like to jump in here when I can and just giving a little wisdom podcast. Today, this one is a little bit personal. It's dealing with chemtrails. And by chemtrails, what I mean is exactly what you think they are. Every time you look up in the sky and you see all these planes that are flying not, your normal air traffic routes, but they're flying in these grid patterns, and all of a sudden you see the sky fill up with these trails, and they're kind of like in a big, almost like a tic-tac-toe kind of, pattern, a big grid pattern across the sky. And then all of a sudden, everything starts turning into clouds. Now, of course, it's always been conspiracy theory and there's different thoughts on it and whatnot. And I really, I appreciate everybody's input, but there's definitely something sinister going on. I mean, we can't deny that. I don't, deny that. And I've thought about it for so long, and, I never really sat and researched it or anything, but I've heard the normal stories about these chemtrails. Barium, aluminum, that's inside the sky. And just the other day, because I fell down a rabbit hole, and I tend to do that a lot, unfortunately, this one became kind of personal when I started reading about it. The fact that my wife, I'm not, I don't want to get too personal or anything, out of every, just out of her, respect for her, excuse me. She's still young, late 40s, wonderful human being. I mean, absolutely the most beautiful person in the world. And she's been plagued by a ton of medical problems. Not only physical, from strokes, but also mental issues, suicidal and all. And like I said, I just out of respect, I don't want to go into much detail, but that's, my wonderful, beautiful wife. And no matter how much we did, how much, work we've done to get her better, to improve her health, to improve her mind, every single time something worse keeps happening. There's another episode. There's something else going on. Something else is wrong or not functioning on her body. She's just recently had so much removed from her. As far as, organs, which, all right, gallbladders and all, which all of a sudden everybody's getting their gallbladders removed. Just, you never really heard of that stuff. It happens. Yeah, I get it. But it just seems like everybody I talk to, I had mine removed. And it just seems to be an uptick in this kind of stuff. And then her and I are talking recently about Alzheimer's because, her family, her mom and all, were worried about all that. And we're worried about her herself because she's a prime candidate for early, signs of dementia. We're constantly watching for that and all. And it's scary. I don't like talking about it a lot because it gets me upset. I mean, this is my wife, and I have empathy for anybody else that's in the same kind of situation and the suicidal. And it's the most difficult thing that I've been through when you have a loved one that has so much troubles and so much crises, and there's nothing you could put your finger on. And doctors have no explanations. They're quick to throw pills and, at you, here, take 2 of these, take 3 of these, and then you got to take, 10 more drugs to counteract the side effects of these medications. It's been such a struggle, and I'm the type of person, I don't really believe in medications, at least not, to the point that we need to keep shoving them down people's throats without investigating anything and figuring out what is going on. And that's what's been so frustrating to me, is trying to find out what is going on. Why does my wife have these issues? Never really had them before. And again, it becomes like a burden for me, and it's very upsetting, and it's difficult to talk about. And so the other day, just to get back on track, I fell down this rabbit hole, because I'm online, and of course I'm going down all the different routes that I go down. The fields that I'm in, whether it be meditation or, becoming a better you and all that, you really look hard, and you look hard at life itself, and you look hard at your, what your mind is capable of. But at the same time, we do realize that the world we live in, it's not exactly real. We created this as human beings, but the whole matrix aspect. So I go down these rabbit holes, and I fell down the rabbit hole with chemtrails, and it hit me. I never really looked into it. Like I said, I knew that there was an issue. I knew something is going on. Obviously, you can't tell me that. Back in, like, when I was a child, back in the 70s, I remember clear skies. I remember cloudy skies, and I remember certain things that weren't such an issue now. The different types of cancers, the uptick in Alzheimer's and dementia. All this is happening. Autism. Autism is just like a word that's just being thrown around today, like, no big deal. But nobody's saying, hey, there's a big uptick in this. Why? Nobody talks about that. It just becomes normalized. And not to say that that's abnormal if somebody has autism or something, but it's just the fact that doctors nowadays just, they just kind of dismiss it as, oh, it's just another problem. It's just something else. But nobody says, what is going on? What is causing this? Why? We sit, I'm really disgusted with us as human beings. We don't question. We just accept everything. And as generations go, and like me, I'm pretty old myself, but I've been across different generations, so I can see differences. What I used to experience growing up, like for one, take this for example. We're human beings. We're on the planet Earth. The planet Earth was designed because it's obviously a created life. I'm taking religion out of it. I'm just saying, on a scientific level, with the way the sun shines and oxygen and it gives life. Back in the 70s, nobody cared about the sunlight. As a matter of fact, they told you go out there because the benefits of the sunlight, the happiness. It's great for depression and the vitamin D, and it's great for the cells. Why now, all of a sudden, human beings seem to not be a part of this planet, like we're alien to it? Why is the sun all of a sudden creating so much damage to our cells? It could be one of two things. It could be the big corporations that are selling you the damn sunscreen. The more people buy it, just go ahead and say, hey, the sun causes cancer. All right. Is there skin cancer? Yes, absolutely. But why an uptick? Why now? Why all of a sudden is there an issue with this? We're human beings. We're supposed to be designed to live on this planet. Sun is part of this planet. When I was reading these here things about chemtrails now, the bariums and the aluminums, and I went down through, and just, again, with the way media is, mainstream media, we don't hear nothing about this because the government and NASA and all agreed. Yes, hey, we are spraying the skies. We are doing that because we're testing how we can manipulate the weather. They admitted this. I went down the rabbit holes. Anybody can message me if you want links to this here stuff, but you could find it yourself very easy on even a Google search, which I don't like using. I like using DuckDuckGo, but if you use Google, just go on there. YouTube has these videos, and I know that these things are true because a bunch of these videos were taken down by YouTube. One was taken down because of violence. I don't know how, weather, talks about weather and chemtrails is violent, whatever. But there was like probably 4 out of 8 or maybe 9 of the links that I had. They removed the videos. They removed the content, which is a little shady to me. But there was admission that this is what they do. And they admitted, yeah, well, you would think this would be all over, mainstream news networks. And these aren't recent links. They're going back 8, even 10 years ago. And we seem to, we accept it. And there's still people going around saying, hey, you're a conspiracy theorist because you believe in chemtrails. Yeah, okay, I believe in chemtrails. I believe in that. I'm questioning what's going on with humanity and why they're spraying this stuff that goes out into the atmosphere and then has to come back down to the earth. And they did soil samples, and the amount of aluminum and all that's inside, that's in our soils, that damages plant life and all the things that help us as human beings to breathe. And the sudden uptick in depression, anxiety, Alzheimer's, dementia, skin cancers, regular cancers. It's just such an uptick. Things I never heard about, like around in the 70s and all. Because they started doing the chemtrails, from what I understand, or at least what they admitted to, was in the 80s. And I don't remember looking up in the sky seeing these things. You'll see a contrail every now and then if a plane's around 35,000 feet and the oxygen, blah, 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 and the ice particles. That's fine. But there's a big difference between what you see and a contrail, and a big difference in what you see in a chemtrail. If you take binoculars and you look at planes that are spraying, you would see that the trails are actually coming from like the belly of the plane. They're not coming anywhere from near the, engine exhausts, So it kind of makes you wonder just what else are they spraying? What else is their purpose? It's gotten me so worked up, and I'm really do apologize. Normally I have a better train of thought, but as I was going down these rabbit holes and I started, reading about it and listening to it and hearing the conferences on it, there's actual conferences on it. And then again, it's all on YouTube. And then I related it back to my wife and I said, for the last, I would say 8 years, we've been trying to figure out what's going on with her. Why does she have these bouts of depression, suicide, the risk of dementia, body just, picking up all these different these autoimmune type of diseases for no reason. There's no explanation from doctors. They just say, okay, here. They just keep feeding medications, and every time you ask the question why, she has a problem with her sinuses, and she went to a doctor, and his explanation was, well, did she do a lot of cocaine? I mean, damn, dude. She never touched cocaine in her life, but the doctor's insistent, well, that's the only way this happens to you. She has a deterioration inside of her sinuses, and there's a hole. And I was like, okay, well, why? And he says, well, the only logical explanation is she did too much cocaine. And I was like, holy shit, dude. This is what the medical field has boiled down to. These people are making a lot of money. I'm not a doctor myself, but you know what I am? I'm a patient. And patients have every right to know what's going on with their bodies, within their bodies, what you're putting in them, what you want to keep out. Second, third opinions matter. So I really started reading about these chemtrails, and I said, wow, a lot of the things I researched as far as barium and aluminum creates a lot of these problems. The low drive, like you don't have a lot of my wife's always sleeping, not because she wants to, but that's how her body just feels. The dementia is created by aluminum. A lot of this cancers, I mean, luckily so far, please, she doesn't have any kind of cancers, but there's always something going on, and it relates back to the side effects of too much aluminum, these heavy metals and all. That wind up in vaccinations too. That's another topic, another day. But right now, these chemtrails are being sprayed. And again, they admitted to it. So listen, it's no longer a conspiracy. It's out there. It's actual truth. They just don't put it out there in mainstream media, and they don't say why they're doing it. But they say, oh, it's to control the weather. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're controlling the weather. They control how warm it gets. They control how cold it gets. And now the bigger conspiracies, can they create rain? Yes, they can. They can make it rain. The barium and all that, it's supposed to make it rain. NASA is involved in this. All right, just read, do the research. And I'm not talking to some crazy, website somewhere. There's YouTube channels where they did actual panels and government discussions, and they had court cases and all. And it's being discussed, and it's openly admitted. But the actual things, what? Like, do we have a list of everything that they're putting in the sky, when it's being done and all? You would think we should have that information on hand, on demand, anytime. It should be all across mainstream media, always. We find out about it because we fall down these rabbit holes because we're conspiracy theorists, and we wind up having family members, people that we really love, sick, dying, wanting to kill themselves because of stupid nonsense that goes on without us knowing. And even dumber yet, we don't ask the questions. And we keep allowing it to happen. Massive droves of people are in the streets tearing things down over fake narratives in the media. But yet, right above your head, during all your stupid riots, they're spraying chemicals in the air, which are coming down into our food sources, our water sources, our soil. And not a single word is coming out of anybody's mouth. But we'll sit here and talk about racism day one, constantly. Why don't we do this? Why don't we just say we're all human beings, black, white, Asian, no matter what it is, we're damn human beings, and we all get along with each other, and say, stop with this stupid nonsense, because the only reason there's racism is because of mainstream media making it out to be something. And if we all just get along, shake each other's hands, tell each other we love them as another human being, and let's go after the bigger shit that's out there. There's way bigger shit out there. Bigger stuff like chemicals being sprayed in the air, and nobody knows what these chemicals are. We can only get soil samples, and some scientists went down and just broke it down and said, why is the aluminum, barium so off the charts in our soil? It's not even supposed to be there. That's one thing, okay. But what else is in there that we don't know about, that we cannot detect? What's going on? It seems to be a problem to me. I don't know about the rest of you. And like I said, when you start feeling that it's affecting your family or even yourself, question if you have medical issues and doctors just, I don't know what it is. Question, is it the crap they're spraying in the air? Can we take on a lawsuit against the government? We need to prove that this is what's happening, but damn it, what else is it? I really would like to know what else it could be. I mean, with all the chemicals being sprayed in the air, and then doctors are telling you to swallow these chemical pills because it'll help, but it'll create a bunch. We just create such a domino effect on our health. It would be nice to say, listen, like I usually teach, outside of this here, very loud podcast, this very emotional podcast here. Wouldn't it be nice if we can just sit, let our bodies heal naturally, use homeopathic remedies and all? That would all be great. But how? They found a way to weaponize that. They say, okay, fine, you're not going to use all the chemicals we want you. We'll spray the chemicals in the air. Why do you want to control the weather? Obviously, it's a weapon. They said, how if you look sometimes now at the haze in the sun, I've never seen, like I said, as a kid, I've never seen that type of haze that we see now, the type of clouds. They're chemicals, people. That's what they are. Look it up. Call me a conspiracy theorist all you want. At this point, I don't care anymore. Just like our governments do not care about us. They'll say, well, we're doing it to make things better because, global warming. This is the Earth. It's a planet. It's been forming since billions of years, 9 trillion billions, long, long time ago. And it's still learning to adapt. It's evolving. It's changing. There's going to be differences in weather patterns, people. Obviously. Things are going to get warmer. Things are going to get cooler. Obviously. So why change it? Why play God now and say, hey, we can change that. And that's for your own good. It's for your benefit. Take big corporations like Monsanto, right? The ones that make seeds. That was the other rabbit hole I went down. Seeds for all the plants and foods that they grow. Huge conglomerate. It's like a monopoly. Why do they make a seed aluminum resistant? How would they predict that? How would they know that there's aluminums in the soil? Why would that be a thing if it never was before? But they make aluminum resistant seeds. Our agriculture is being destroyed by these chemicals because, again, it goes down to our soil. Everything comes from the soil, people. Everything. Do you choose to ignore it? Again, go ahead. Scream racism every day and start riots all you want. Knock yourself out. You're being played by the damn mainstream media with that. I love everybody. So again, let's stop with that bullshit. Shake each other's hands and say, you know what? This is nonsense. We're being played. Let's go after the real problems together. Let's do that. That's a great idea, I think. We all band together as human beings and do something different for the planet, for each other. That's one way to show love for everybody. Nobody's burning down buildings or rioting over the poisons that they're spraying. Nobody. Not a word, not a cheep. It just goes on and on every day. Every day I look up in the sky certain times. There's planes flying around in grid patterns. About an hour or two later, there's a whole bunch of clouds I've never seen before. Kind of interesting, right? Kind of shady if you ask me. I'm sorry if I feel, yeah. Again, if I seem so emotional, I normally don't get like this, but this again is for my entire Rumble channel. So, I've been touching on issues outside. Like I said, I'm with Third Eye Meditation, and, I'm normally very calm, peaceful, which I am. Don't get me wrong. But again, this touched a nerve with me because, again, I have a wife that I'm struggling every day. I got to work 2 jobs, 7 days a week because of her medical conditions that nobody seems to have an idea of what's going on. And then I fall down this rabbit hole about the chemtrails, and it seems like the chemicals that they're spraying seems to create the same problems that she's having. Who do I go after? Yeah, I'm not riding in the streets. I want answers. I want answers. I want to know what's going on. Not only for my wife, but for anybody else. I don't care who you are. You don't deserve this kind of nonsense. We don't deserve this. We don't deserve to be in the dark about it. If they're admitting to it, then why is it not every day? Oh, at this and this time, we're going to be spraying because we want to do this and that. Even if they're bullshitting about it, at least hear about it. Oh, if anybody wants to list the chemicals that they're spraying, call this number, write to this address. We don't hear that. Mainstream media just wants to push their narratives to keep us blind like sheep, and we keep following them. That's what's happening. And each and every one of us are suckers because we follow into it. And we're not researching and we're not thinking logically. There's a lot we can do, but we got to do it together, before it gets way too late. If they would just admit, say, hey, too much population, we're trying to kill you off, at least you'll be honest about it. I would appreciate that, the honesty, rather than being lied to or just hiding the fact. But instead, nothing, not a peep, nowhere from mainstream media. We got to find out about this on our own. And then when we find out about it, we're conspiracy theorists. We're crazy. Oh, you're too far right wing, or you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, tinfoil hat. Okay. I got you. It's fine. But if my wife is suffering because of that bullshit, then it's time to take names. It's time to find out what really is going on. Let's take it to the masses. What do the masses say? Not every one of us are sheep. I probably don't have a single sheep in this room right now. But you're all very, very smart. You're all very, very aware of things that are going on. But that's why I'm recording this today. Like I said, it's going on my Rumble channel. So if you want to see it visually, you can. All right. So anybody that joined me and missed the beginning of this, my name is Gary. I'm with Third Eye Meditation. And again, that Third Eye Meditation has nothing really to do with these here little podcasts. Third Eye Meditation is a meditation, online meditation class where I teach beginners how to meditate, how to get in touch with your inner self, how to be a better you. But it's all related, My company slogan is open your eyes and then open your eye. Got to open your eyes to what's going on around you. If you want to take up meditation, and the reason you want to meditate is because you're stressed, anxiety, and you want to relieve yourself from this everyday life. You just want to sit and be calm for a few minutes and understand yourself, replenish your body, let your body heal. And that's what all meditation is. A lot of people that meditate, like myself, I've been meditating now 20 years. You start to become awakened to what's really going on in the world. And then you realize this is why I've been meditating. But we still need to correct the issues. Meditation can take care of so much, but we could do even better if we take care of the problems that are causing the reasons why we really need to meditate. The stress, the anxiety, the high blood pressure, the poor nutrition, and all that. If you want to follow me on my different links, you go to thirdeyemeditation.net. Okay, thirdeyemeditation.net, very simple website, doesn't cost you a dime. Follow me because I do other things besides being very emotional and very, aggravated right now, like I am. Normally I'm have much more peaceful things to talk about, but not everything is peaceful, and we can't always be peaceful. I want to stress that. If you feel anger, if you feel you're upset, if you feel sad, feel these emotions, live through those emotions, express them. There's nothing wrong with that. It's human. This is what we need to do. I never tell anybody, just because you meditation, you have to be peaceful and you need to be peaceful all the time. Get in touch with each one of your emotions and understand why you're having each one of these emotions. Observe it, live through it. That's what's going on with me right now. Like I said, if I just stumble down a link as to why my wife is always sick, ill, depressed, suicidal, doesn't have anything to do with the damn chemicals that they're spraying. Go look out your windows. Different times, different days, mostly during the day, especially on a clear day. And you'll see all these planes, and then you start seeing clouds after these chemtrails and big grid patterns. Research it. Just go ahead on your own. I'm not going to give you the links. Go research it, and you will see. And it's not weird, dark web kind of stuff. It's conferences. It's NASA. They're all admitted to it, but nobody gets told. And then once you mention it, you're a conspiracy theorist. All right? Don't take that crap from anybody. All right? I think everybody's brilliant enough to understand, that we're all being played in this world. But when it comes to our health, when it comes to our sanity, when it comes to our everyday peacefulness, our pursuit of happiness, it's destroyed. It gets destroyed. And nobody wants to do anything about it. But we'll yell about the biggest trend right now, that's going on social media or the mainstream media. That we'll pay attention to, though. Whichever way they steer us. I appreciate everybody listening. I do apologize for being so, emotional, but that's what I like. Again, follow your feelings. I like coming on here on Wisdom because you can do that. I've heard some other people with truly great stuff. Every one of you, I probably heard a lot of you guys already, and you're all very fantastic. So I got a guest. Before I do the guest, I'm going to end the recording here, and then I'll jump to my guest. Because I'm not set up to have a speaker and I can't record live. So I'm shutting down the Rumble channel and I'm going to switch over onto the Wisdom and I'll get to my guests that are waiting. I appreciate everybody for listening. All right, Wisdom, I am here. I have a guest here. William, you're joining me live. How are you? You got 3, 2, 1 second. It counts down for me. William, how you doing?
Good. I'm good.
Hey, good to hear. Good to hear. What's on your mind? I mean, did I get you kind of riled up?
I was listening to you with the Chemtrails discussion there, talking about
Yeah.
them, and I was talking about them on last week. I did a conspiracy theory. I have a thing I do on Wednesdays. I go, "What the hell Wednesdays?" And we were doing conspiracy theories and some of them, and we were talking about the Chemtrails. I went to a meeting back in 2006, and
Okay.
the big, huge furniture store, and they had it set up nice, and they had food and drinks and beverages and stuff, and they were showing slides of planes and commercial jets and private jets and just all kinds of planes with contrails and talking about the different chemicals that they put in them, and by the time they reached the Earth from where they were letting them out way up in the sky, we didn't even, nobody could feel it or notice it because the particles spread out and they're so minute that, we're just taking in all this poison and stuff. And my question was, well, why wouldn't they just put that stuff in the water at the treatment plants where nobody can see them? Why would they do it with big contrails up there? Because I'd flown on a few planes and took a few lessons and know a little bit about the heat and the atmosphere and the cold and the heat and the exhaust and stuff like that. And it's just, I was wondering if since 2006 they had any more evidence, any more proof of it.
Yeah, like I said, I tripped down the rabbit hole, and I just started. There was a link that I had like 9 or 10 different links, and they were all basically YouTube channels. And like I said earlier, that they're true when YouTube censored out the content or removed it completely. But there was still some bunch of surviving links and all, and I think they were going back from like about 8 years ago, where they had. It was mostly out in California. In California, had a whole discussion on it. There was a whole political discussion, a whole meeting, and they had scientists and pilots and, all talking about that same thing. So is there any more evidence? The thing is, there probably is tons of evidence. The thing is, again, it's never going to be on mainstream media. So we have to sit here and, actually, or do we demand that from our government officials, our representatives, and start saying, hey, why can't we just, if you're admitting to it and we know we're doing it, and what they're claiming is they're doing it to control the weather. Okay, great, good, and fine. But why are we not notified of stuff like this? Why are we not? Chris, we could turn over any can of, I don't care, lima beans, and there's a whole thing of nutritional information that the government forces them to put on every can, every single thing that's in there. But we don't know what they're spraying in the air. And
Yeah,
that's the
that's
thing.
true. That's true.
So, and remember, don't call them contrails, because contrails are the normal, that jets, put out in it, but these are chemtrails. There's a big difference between the two, and they were pointing that out. Yeah, contrails are normal. They're from the exhaust from the jets, and 35,000 feet, the oxygen, blah blah blah. But the chemtrails, the stuff they're
Chemtrails.
actually
Okay,
spraying,
that's a
yeah, the
different.
chemtrails, that's the unnatural stuff. That's what's going on in the skies, and they spread out over really large areas. And supposedly that's to help protect us from the weather, since when the weather became so dangerous. But William, you said you have
Yeah,
a show on Wednesday nights, because I do a Wednesday night show every other week, but I
I
am
do. I
interested in
do it
tuning
on.
in.
I do it on Wednesdays, 6 to 8.
6 to 8, that's perfect. William, because, yeah, I like copying this stuff down, because I like to check out some of these things, because it sounds interesting what you're talking about too. So I'll probably tune into some of your shows too as well. But I really appreciate you coming on and just mentioning, because, like I said, not a lot of people are really aware of, of this. Everybody just says, oh, there's chemtrails again, but nobody really understands what is going on. And like I said, all I ask you to do is just do the research. It's out there. Just type in chemtrails. Do it on things like DuckDuckGo instead of like Google. So this way it doesn't get totally censored. Do chemtrails on YouTube. I can even probably send out a link. It's a Facebook page I'm on. And they had all, like I said, all 9 links. I think like 6 of them were taken down by YouTube. So, all
Yeah,
right,
I'm
William,
running out of time, but yeah, there's lots of things that there is proof that the government did, sanctioned, and
yeah. So sorry. I probably should have reset my settings. I don't really have guests on that much, so I probably got to set it for longer than 5 minutes. But my apologies, William. If you want, you can jump back in. It's fine. Um, there we go. There you go. Yeah, I apologize. I set these here things up, a long time ago, and I
uh,
forget to go into the settings.
the
William, thank you for
government
coming
does
back, buddy.
things that we don't know about, and it doesn't get in the newspapers and the TV news. My little brother's a victim of one of those things. He's special needs. I mean, he was born with some physical problems and some mental emotional that go along with being born a hydrocephalic, means a waterhead. He was a
Okay.
waterhead baby, and
Mm-hmm.
they before they he was even at the hospital getting the shunt put in to help him to live. They'd already
Mm-hmm.
castrized him
Hmm.
because the policy was that any deformed children or mental retarded children, any children born with defects, were to be sterilized, male and female, so they couldn't reproduce, so that they could keep our country uh, pure with healthy Americans who can work and who can defend the country and work and pay taxes and raise more.
Hmm.
And that was in the 60s when he was
Mm-hmm.
born, 64, I think. And, he didn't find out about it. He didn't know about it until 2011, 10 or 11. Did he know about it? And my mom didn't even know about it, but there was a big thing on. People were starting to ask about it, and people were starting to say, "Why am I sterilized? Why can't I have children?" And they go to their doctors and they tell them, "Well, you've been, you had a vasectomy sometime in your life." And come to find out, it's when they did it right when they were born, And any child that was put into a mental facility, say you're in first grade, but you have some behavioral problems, they uh, take you to a doctor and he sends you to a psychiatrist. Psychiatrist sends you to a hospital for some evaluation. They deem you with mental health problems. They would go ahead and do it. You're 8, 9, 10 years old, whatever age, so that you couldn't reproduce and make more defective children. And the paperwork came out, they fixed the information, found out it was true, and made some settlements to some, but they kept it very hush hush. It wasn't a big continuing story on the news. It had, like the world news, the Today Show, something like that. They'd have a mention of it in passing, doing the whole bunch of news at one time. And when they first come on, that'd be one of the stories in passing, but they didn't feature it, anything like that. So, our government has done some things over the years that makes me not trust them. And that I know about to be true. Like this. Now, during the COVID, they said the government, I missed that broadcast, said the government came out with a news bulletin that said they were releasing information that, yes, there are aliens. They have been to our planet, and that the UFOs are, alien ships, and it's all true. It's not, we've been covering up for all these years, but it's true. But I watched the news, but I watched about how many people had died with the COVID that day, not anything else. So, they had a distraction at this perfect time to go ahead and release it. And I feel that they released it because there's something going to happen. But they figured we'll release it kind of quietly amidst other things that people are more concerned about. And then when it does happen, we say, well, we told you about it back at this date. During, right in the middle of COVID, we told you about it. And but I've heard one thing on the news about it since then, and it was just a snippet about some of the paperwork that had been released. And that was it. So, yeah, I believe the government does sneaky, dirty trick things and does experiments on its own people. And I mean, think about it. All the Nazi doctors that were doing all these weird and crazy experiments on people in the concentration camps. What happened to them after the war? They all got pardons and came over here to work for us. In mental health fields and in aerospace and all kinds of other areas because we wanted their research. We wanted to know what happens.
Yeah, I'm sorry I lost you there again, William. I do apologize. But I just want to get on because you touched on a few things, William. And again, I really appreciate it. I'm going to listen to your show on Wednesdays too. But you're absolutely right. And what the thing is, you knew someone that, suffered birth defects and how the government just covered everything up and all. And that's my thing. And it's things like that. It becomes personal. When nothing is affecting you, it's no big deal. We could be sheep. We could lay down and just let the world go. But once it starts to affect you, family members, someone you love, you guys start questioning, right? All of a sudden, it's just like me. My wife is having all sorts of issues out of nowhere. And is it related? Give me some hard evidence. This way I can fight it. That's what we're talking about. That's why we want that. You're talking about they were sterilizing children because they wanted, better human beings to work and all. But yet politicians were never sterilized, right? Imagine that. And you also touched upon that hidden news. Yeah, the whole UFO thing. Yeah, like I said, the big joke was, that we've admitted that there's aliens, but nobody cares, right? Well, it's not that nobody cares. Nobody really heard about it. Because again, it was hidden amongst the big news that they've created. COVID worldwide, problem. People are dying. That's all you ever heard about. And I guarantee if we go back to 2020 and really start watching the news and the stuff that never really made it on there, I bet you they admitted to a lot of stuff. But we just don't know because we were so blinded by the whole COVID fiasco. So that's really, really interesting to me there. William, you're back. Come on, buddy. There you are, buddy. Sorry you only got 5 minutes. I've never set my settings on
It's
wisdom for
fine. It's
anything
fine.
longer.
Yeah, I have some medical issues that I never had before uh, since I had the second vaccine. I had the
Hmm.
first shot, no problem. Like everybody else, I felt a little sick. My arm was sore from the shot, like a regular flu shot. No problem. 2 weeks later, I go back. I get the second one, and it kills me. I
Hmm.
stopped breathing. They had to bring me back, and I've had problems ever since. They're getting better now, but at first I was like, What are these problems? You know, why am I having this? Why is my blood pressure so high? Uh, why am I not able to urinate correctly? And these are all symptoms of people who had the COVID, who were in the hospital with it, who had to be on the lung machine or whatever, and they're still having. They're called long timers, and they're still having problems like the symptoms I was having. And I haven't had any since June. Was the last time I had any of the symptoms. But since then, and I don't know why, for 14 days I thought I was going to die most of the time. Uh, 14 days exactly, I felt better. I felt normal again. My blood pressure was down to normal. You know, wasn't all fatigued and uh, going to the bathroom just fine and everything. So I don't know, but doctors won't pinpoint exactly what it was about the vaccine, or even if it was the vaccine. Now, originally, when I first got taken into the hospital by ambulance because I stopped breathing and they were bringing me back, uh, they said, "Yeah, you had your COVID vaccine, the second one, yesterday morning, and sometimes the people have a reaction." I go, "How come I never heard that in any of the TV stuff, any of the news? I never heard of any people having a reaction from the second vaccine." And then after that, they shut up. They wouldn't say anything about it. I'd go in and they'd say, "Well, you look like you're doing better. Your blood pressure's still high. We'll put you on some blood pressure medicine." And blood pressure medicine, doctor put me on some when I was going through opioid withdrawals from pain medication, and that killed me. Literally, my tongue and throat swelled up. They had to do 2 tracheotomies in the same day on me,
Hmm.
and it took 9 months to recover from those. And I'm like, "No, I don't think you're going to give me any blood pressure medicine. You're not going to do it." And they said, "Well, just try this one. This one's not. This one's pretty good." I said, "Well, you can tell me what causes. They can't even tell you what causes high blood pressure."
Hmm.
But I said, "Well, what's the name of it?" And they told me the name of it. I Googled it, and oh yes, now the one that killed me last time they gave me was lisinopril. That's the number one killer of humans among blood pressure medications. This one now you want to give me, it says this is the number two killer of humans. I had a reaction from the number one. You don't think I'm going to have a reaction from this one too? Forget it, guys.
Hmm.
Forget it. I walked out the hospital, said, "Kiss my butt," and left. "You're fired." I'll go. I went to see another doctor and uh, got some good results and didn't, take any dangerous blood pressure medication. Had some little bit of blood thinner and vitamins and iron and stuff like that. And my blood pressure was still high, but it wasn't as high as it was. And then June, after that relapse, I call it, of the vaccine, uh, I've been fine. Blood pressure is fine. I don't take anything for my blood pressure. I'm getting my strength back slowly but surely. Um, there's 100% difference between today than in June and before that incident in June. I was just, for a whole year, I could barely do anything
Hmm.
after the vaccine. So, yeah, a lot of funny things going on out there. I'd like to have some answers to, you know what I mean? But come chat with us on Wednesday. and I got to go walk my co-host, my bandit. He's a min pin. He's my co-host always.
All right. William, thank you. Thank you so very much for joining me and bringing that up because it's just weird because now you just scared the hell out of me because you mentioned lisinopril. I take lisinopril. You better believe I'm going to go look that up because it was just funny. Again, I meditate and there's a reason for everything. You know, we're all aligned. We're all into the same universe as one person. I woke up this morning and I did not take it and I wanted to question it. And I was wondering why that was. And the other thing too is just the fact that I was placed on these here high blood pressure medications, and my blood pressure to me just doesn't seem like it would be high. They changed. They told me they changed the standards. They changed the range, and every time they change it, I think it's just to sell more pills. That's what I think. And the COVID vaccines, yeah, I literally work with somebody who went out and got the shot because it was mandatory. They went out and got the shot. Perfectly healthy individual, upper 20s. Not a problem with them at all. Got the vaccine, boom, had to be on a heart monitor and heart meds because, like, the day after getting the shot. And the doctor says it's just a coincidence. Just a coincidence, folks. There's nothing to see here. Move along. Nothing about these vaccines are bad. All right? Just like nothing wrong with what we're shooting out into the air and we're all breathing in. That's the problem. I really, really think that we need to question everything. And we're getting to the point now we're dumbing ourselves down. So yeah, myself included, because yeah, I'm going into a doctor that says, "Oh, your blood pressure's high." Okay, cool. Doesn't seem that high to me, but whatever. Oh, I want you on lisinopril. Okay, just like that. And now here, somebody's telling me that it's the most deadliest thing, and he's actually back. I'll give William another 5 minutes if nobody minds.
Yeah,
I like what he has to
just
say.
wanted to tell you
Here you
since
are.
you didn't take it today, that's a good thing because the thing with the lisinopril is that I found out afterwards, of course, that you can take it for years and it doesn't do anything other than poison you and to keep your blood pressure down. But one day you've been taking it for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, a week. The first one you ever take can kill you. Can do the same thing that it did to me. So how long have you been taking it?
I've been on it probably for 6 months now.
Yeah, so you can take it for 6 months with no problem. You get up one morning, you take it, and your throat's, and there's no warning about it nowhere, because I read all the warnings, interactions when I get a new medication, and there was nothing about it anywhere. It wasn't listed as severe side effect.
Mm-hmm.
uh, that you can take it for years and never had. When I walked into the emergency room, and I drove myself because I thought I'd taken an antibiotic for a kidney infection, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was the antibiotic because the one I said it could cause thrush mouth. And I had that, and when I was in basic training, I had bronchial pneumonia in both lungs and almost had to be recycled. But that is a horrible thing. It hurts, and your tongue gets swollen. And so it was a little bit swollen, and it hurt real bad. I thought I had thrush mouth. I went to the emergency room to get some special spray for it to stop the pain so I could swallow and talk. And by the time I got there, and it's a 10-minute drive, I was going blah 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 because my tongue was so swollen.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked up there and to the counter, and the nurse behind the counter said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I my tongue is swollen. I took some medication." And she goes, "Are you on lisinopril?" I shook my head. I had all the medication with me. She said, "Don't move." She yelled for someone, "Bring a wheelchair, get him in a wheelchair, and get him in the back right now, God damn it!" And that's all that's the only thing she asked me. Are you taking lisinopril? She knew exactly what was wrong with me and had to take me back to the downstairs emergency room, emergency surgery unit to do tracheotomy, get me intubated and trached before it killed me. And then took me up later to a regular operating room upstairs where they did a better one. That wasn't so rushed and hurried because the doctor that does those type surgeries, the surgeon, said they called
Mhm.
her and she came in. It's the first time she ever actually saw a blue human. She
Hmm.
said, "You were blue, literally. It freaked me out." I go, "Well, doc, that's something you don't want to like to hear, that you freak the doctor out." But yeah, so uh, look at it real close, because you can take it tomorrow and it can kill you, or you can take
Hmm.
it another year, 2 years, and then you'll take it the next day and it'll kill you. And that's just bizarre, I think, but that's the way it works. And I went to the doctor who prescribed it, and he was so afraid I was going to sue him. He was like, "Well, that's just a small thing that happens with people sometimes, but it's okay now, so we just won't worry about that, and we'll just check on that, see how that kidney infection was doing." I was in intensive care for 6 days
Hmm.
because of that. So
Wow.
I just wanted to come back and tell you that when you said you were taking it and said that you hadn't
Yeah.
taken it today, that might have saved your life, not taking it today.
You're absolutely right about that, and I am really glad because literally now I am starting to type away, and I'm falling down that rabbit hole because yeah, it's saying it's one of the medications that should be avoided. So wonderful that they're prescribing it still.
Yeah, why
William,
the hell
thank
are
you
they still
again.
giving it to people? And the
Yeah,
main
they
thing is
still give
this:
it.
the doctors, unless you have an obvious reason for your blood pressure to be up, like going through withdrawals from, I've been recovered from alcoholism for 30 years. And the withdrawals from drugs and alcohol can make your blood pressure go way up. And that's the reason that it goes up. But
Hmm.
when you just have, you go in, they say you have high blood pressure, take this medicine. What the hell do you mean I have blood pressure? Why do I have it? And they can't
Hmm.
answer it. They can't
Hmm.
tell you. So
It's
anyway,
so true.
I got to run, but you might have saved your own life.
And you might have saved mine, buddy. Thank you so much for that.
All right, we'll catch you later.
Alrighty, sir. All right. Yeah. Well, William, thank you so very much again. And thank you for putting that pressure on me. But it's so true. We do. We wind up going to doctors again. And, we could sit and ask questions and there's nothing. Oh, here, just take another pill. Take this pill. Oh, if that's what's happening, take that pill. And yeah. And then you start doing research and you find out that you start getting health defects from the very pills. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you not to take your medications. I'm not telling you anything like that. Be careful. Ask questions. If you're very comfortable with a doctor, someone who you've been with for a long time, you're very comfortable, that is great. That is wonderful. I haven't seen doctors in years. When I started my job about 10 years ago now, you know, I pretty much had to have a doctor because, I started getting all the health care and all that stuff. But I just started seeing a doctor regularly. And I used to be in the medical field, not like a doctor or anything, but I used to be an emergency medical technician in the city of New York. I've ran across many things. And I can understand that there's something else going wrong. Because I always told people, you know what's best for your body. If you're telling me you're in pain, I'm nobody to tell you that you're not. It's your body. You're telling me you're in pain. Now we got to figure out how to alleviate the pain, but then we got to figure out what's going on. And that's what the doctors and the hospitals are for. Why are you in pain? What is causing it? What's causing the high blood pressure? What is causing the diabetes? Because same thing with me. I turned diabetic, and I know why. It's because one of the jobs I was working at before this last one, I used to work with nurses. And know what they used to do to me? Because they all loved me. They used to give me candy all day long, like constant, lots of candy. And I ate lots of candy. And I worked 4 days a week, 10-hour shifts. And all during that time, I was just feasting on candy. My stupid mistake. So when they did, you know, my blood test and they found out how high my A1C was, I was like, oh, okay, it was at a 14. Holy crap. It scared me, but then I knew what it was. And they said, oh, no, you got to be on insulin. I said, no way. I'm not injecting myself this way. I'm going to go down that path for the rest of my life, being that I know it was just my stupidity. And I stopped eating all that candy. And I went down to like a 6, my A1C. So normal or a little bit high, but no big deal. We got to have some sweets. But that's what's going on. So when we have smaller problems like this, is it not being, exasperated because they're spraying these chemicals in the air? And they're getting in our food sources or water sources, everything else. What goes up must come down. These are microparticles. Heavy metals. Aluminum is not supposed to go through the brain. That's what causes Alzheimer's, right? Dementia and all that. Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know the pathology behind it. But if we say, okay, aluminum causes these problems, then why would you spray it in the air into our atmosphere where it's bound to come down and we breathe in, or it goes into our soil, gets into our plants, the foods we eat, the animals eat the grass, same animals we eat, right? Why the hell would you spray it in the air? And why the hell does nobody tell us about it? That's my problem. That's why, like I said, I'd rather them say, hey, listen, we're spraying it up there because we're trying to reduce the population by 50%. If you're dead honest about it, I got no problem. But at least we have the truth. Nobody gives you the truth. Why are you changing the weather? Why do you have to change the weather? This is a planet. Gods can change weather. And a lot of people have God complexes. And they found that they could weaponize the weather, right? Sad things, folks. Sad things. But again, it's personal. Because like I said, I got somebody that I love dearly that's having so many medical problems. And every day I was doing research trying to figure things out. And then I fall down this rabbit hole with chemtrails and say, wow, maybe this is it. Maybe not. Who knows? Again, I don't have concrete proof. But we do have proof that they're spraying, right? And not a damn thing's going to be done about it. Not a damn thing. We need to come together as human beings, people. And we need to figure out what's going on. We really do. Anyway, I wanted to end this because, again, I work for a living and I got to transfer into my next job, my part 2 job, I guess. But wisdom people, I thank you so much for you guys listening to me just pour my heart out, my emotions and everything else. I really do appreciate it. I hope people get a little sense. Start being more aware. That's all. Just be more aware. Start asking questions. Ask hard questions. Demand it. Let's stop with the nonsense. Let's stop following the mainstream news. All right? Let's just all be human and let's all just get together as one human beings, a human race, and doing something that's positive rather than negative all the time. All right? Everybody, please check me out all over the place. All right? Go to thirdeyemeditation.net. thirdeyemeditation.net. And there's a page where to find me. And I got the links to all the places. Follow me over there on Facebook because I do a lot of cool things. It's not as highly emotional as it is right now. It's much more relaxed. My stepdaughter and I, we do a show every Wednesday night based on my podcast. I got a direct link to my podcast as well on thirdeyemeditation.net. And if you want to become a better self, just hear, about meditation, how I can relate everything to meditation. Hear me on my podcast doing that. Follow me on the Facebook. And this here show that I did for you guys just now, I also recorded it on my Rumble channel, and that Rumble channel is also on the links in thirdeyemeditation.net. So I really appreciate everybody joining me in here. So yeah, definitely follow me. And like I said, in between my 2 jobs, every now and then I get to jump in here when I got the time, and I get to go on Wisdom, and I love doing it. And I always, especially when I'm at work, I'm mostly listening to you guys that are doing your broadcasts and all. And I really appreciate that. A lot of people got a lot of good things to say. So everybody, wish you all well. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Please don't let, the poisons get to you. Stay healthy. Keep your mind open. And I will talk to everybody really soon. Thanks again.